All right, thank you guys all for joining us. I'm really excited for tonight's call. My name is Reagan Dean. I'm a presidential marketing director with the Juice Plus Company. And tonight it's all about Omega Blend. So I don't know about you, but when I first heard about Omega, wasn't sure why I should take it or what it really did. And now people kind of go, well, maybe I should take it, but they don't know why. So tonight we've got a couple of special guests for you. One of the reasons I'm excited to share this with you is because of my own personal experience. And I wanted to share that with you really quick before I introduce our guests, Tracy and Liza. My daughter was kicked in the head by a horse when she was 18 years old and had a really traumatic, it totally shattered her jaw. And we got her all put back together. And about a year afterwards, she broke out in really cystic acne. And I took her to the dermatologist and they said, has she had trauma? Because sometimes trauma will come out in the skin. And we didn't have our Juice Plus Omega yet, but it was coming. And so they had put us on like a $300 a month Omega. It did nothing for us. And then the Juice Plus Omega came out and the national marketing directors got to take it. And so I gave them to her and she called me 3 days later and said, you can't have the other bottle. I'm driving home from college to get it because literally it cleared up her skin. So there's something to do with a full spectrum Omega that you don't get in other Omegas that helps your skin. And since then, I've used it a lot with teenagers that have acne with success and just anything inflammation. So if you guys have those little teenagers that want their skin to look beautiful, you might want to think about putting them on the Juice Plus Omega Blend. And then my friend Tracy Zuschlag, she is an Ayurvedic practitioner up in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. And she has a husband who had a really, really bad ski accident. And I'm going to let you take it from there, Tracy, and just share your story of what the Omega has done for you and your family and for your husband.
Sounds great. So, hi everyone. I have also been taking Juice Plus along with my family for 18 years. But back in 2019, my husband went to Japan and ended up on his last day. He was snowboarding, broke his tibia and fibula, and absolutely shattered it. Long story, he came home from that trip, went right to Stedman Clinic, and ended up having surgery where they put in a lot of hardware. People called him, it looked like the Eiffel Tower in there. It was a lot of hardware. But not long after that, he developed an infection, turned out being staph. And so they did the PICC line into his heart, and he had to have about, 2 to 3 rounds a day for 6 weeks of antibiotics. What also ended up happening was the infection was so systemic that they end up having to remove all of the hardware because his bones were not healing. So we had 5 surgeries in about 2 months. And as an Ayurvedic practitioner, I was doing everything nutritionally to help him. And we were doing lots of different paste and other types of topicals on his skin. But over the years, I just kept seeing that this was not getting better. And every once in a while, I'd look at him and things would show up on his face. So I would see lots of rashes around his nose and down on his lips. And it was very dry, cracked, raw, bleeding skin. And this was going on and on and on. And, we did a lot. We did dermatology, we did allergist. We just weren't getting anywhere. And I thought, maybe we just need to see an immunologist. Wasn't getting anywhere with that, kept being referred. Finally, I ended up talking to someone here in town who is an internal medicine specialist. And she is also a naturopath doctor. And I just showed her all the records we had from everywhere. And she said, you guys are doing everything right, except you need to do omegas. Well, I was doing 2 of the Juice Plus Omegas, and she saw that. And she said, there's nothing better out there. She was looking at everything. And you need to also do the probiotics, which I was also doing with him. But we just needed to do more. So we upped our probiotic to 1 more a day. So he was doing 2 a day. And we upped the omegas to 4 a day. And within about 2 weeks, all of his symptoms went away and completely cleared up. And to this day, he has not had another flare up of any type of inflammation on any parts of his skin. That includes the leg and his face.
Awesome.
So it is unbelievable. Yes, and now of course I take 4 a day. Why not?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And what a blessing to have that in your back pocket. And I'm so glad that you got to have that as a resource and something that works.
Yes,
And
thank you.
thank you for sharing. So, and with that, I now want to introduce you to Liza Pepple. She is kind of the brains behind a lot of our products. She is our global product development guru. She's got a degree in chemical engineering from Clemson. She just went to the Clemson NCAA. Did they win?
They did. Yeah, they won that game and the next one. So yeah.
So Lisa, you are kind of the brains behind helping get this product put together. And I remember when I had told you about my daughter, you said, oh, that's probably the omega-5. So, I know our omegas are not just omega-3, it's omega-3, 5, 6, 7, and 9. So what gives? What the heck?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's something that just fits with the Juice Plus catalog, right? So Juice Plus has always been about blended nutrients, about the symphony of nutrients, the way that Mother Nature has intended them, working together in our bodies to essentially, it's not supposed to do something specifically. There's not a single ingredient that's going to get into your body and do one specific thing. The benefit of Juice Plus, all of our products, is that these nutrients work together with our body's chemistry to help our body heal itself. So that's the real beauty of food. That's the real beauty of how the approach that Juice Plus takes. And the Omega Blend was really no different. I think it took us a while to actually develop the Omega Blend because we couldn't really wrap our heads around how do we do Omega the Juice Plus way? Because we knew we wanted omega-3 fatty acids, but how do you do that the Juice Plus way? And so in talking to a bunch of people, we started looking at what fatty acids were really exciting in the world of clinical research, and also where do they come from? And so once we identified that omega-5s have some really great impacts on both gut health and inflammation, skin health, and omega-7s are the same. They've got impacts on even blood glucose levels. If you look at the clinical research, we're identifying those are really the ones that we want to include. The omega-3 fatty acids, of course, the DHA and EPA that come from the algal oil was always a given. That's something that everybody needs a lot more of than we get. And then the rest, the omega-6s and the omega-9s kind of come along for the ride. So that's the beauty of Mother Nature. It kind of gives you what you need in the formats that you need it. So really developing that blended omega was just natural for how the Juice Plus company has always done product development. And we were lucky to really be able to identify these amazing sources of fatty acids that provide us that amazing nutrition beyond just the fatty acids. Also, we've actually done some research most recently to look at the polyphenol content of the Omega Blend, and it's actually pretty high itself. So it's an amazing, amazing product, I think, too.
So a lot of people will turn to like fish oil supplements because or krill, and that's what they've kind of been taught. What is different about Juice Plus?
So fish oil supplements or krill supplements, anything like that, they are just a single nutrient, essentially omega-3s. So some of them have both DHA and EPA. Some of them only have DHA, some have only EPA, but essentially what they're doing is taking the fish, they're fishing in the ocean. These fish have been eating, usually smaller fish. The small fish actually eat algae to get the omega-3s to begin with. But they're also eating other things that are in the ocean. So they're picking up some of the additional things that we maybe don't want, some of the contaminants that may be in the ocean, and just overfishing in general is not great for the environment. So I think for us, it's important also, to have a vegetarian option. Not everybody will eat fish. I personally have an intolerance to all seafood. So I've never been able to take like traditional omega-3 fish oil supplements. So for me and a lot of people like me, it was important on a lot of different scales, but mostly it's because fish oil is over processed. So in order to get the omega-3s out of the fish, they have to pretty much grind up the fish and take the fat level out. And then distill the fats into their little components to isolate the DHA and EPA. And it's not a very easy process. There's a lot of chemicals involved in it. And to me, it just does not represent nature.
Right. And instead what is in our omega and how do we get it out?
So we use the algal oil is the source of omega-3s, and that's the original source. So we actually don't even use the algae straight from the ocean. We essentially, the company grows its own algae in controlled vessels with the nutrients that the ocean would have provided. So it's a controlled vessel, it's without contaminants, so we're able to ensure that there are no high levels of heavy metals, no PAHs, or any of the contaminants that you may find in the ocean. So it starts with that, and it's processed essentially using a distillation process. So the algae naturally kind of excrete is a lovely word for that. They excrete an oil that's high in DHA and EPA, and then you just have to kind of pull out the DHA and EPA. It's really, it's not a very harsh process. It's something called molecular distillation. My dad actually helped to make that process work really well. So I've been familiar with it for a number of years. But again, that's just one part of our omega blend. The best thing about our omega blend is the rest of it is from really just oil seeds and fresh fruit squeezed. So the sea buckthorn berries are whole berries. It's one of the only berries that's naturally high in fat. And it's actually really high in omega-7 fatty acids. And these little sea buckthorn, these are the orange little berries, they're grown high in the Himalayan mountains. And we just take those and essentially squeeze them, use a process called it's a vapor process to extract the oil. So there's no chemicals associated with that at all. And then the other oils, the pomegranate seed oil, the raspberry seed oil, the black currant seed oil, we're not using the tomato seed oil. My brain has gone blank, but all of the safflower seed oil, those oils are all cold pressed. So essentially it's the same process that people use to get olive oil. So you essentially just squeeze the fruit or the seed and the oil comes out and that's it. You just use that oil in its natural state. So it's not extracting, we're not using chemicals, we're not using high heat. And that's one of the things that I really love about this product. And one of the things that we took to heart when we were developing this product is making sure that we weren't going to introduce high heat or unnecessary things to the process that could degrade the oils.
Because the heat kind of kills a lot of the stuff that's good for you in an omega, right?
Absolutely. Heat and oxygen are the two things that are terrible for all oils. And so for us, it's not just about the oils, it's also about how we put them into a capsule. So a lot of fish oil supplements also will use something called soft gel. And that's that kind of squishy gelatin piece that goes around the oils. And you actually have to form that around the oils while they're being encapsulated. So that is starting at a high heat. And right when you're putting the oils in, it's at high heat. And so you're starting that degradation process and it's not in an oxygen-free environment. So you're really starting that degradation process of any oil inside of a soft gel right away. And so we have something that's very unique. It's a 2-piece hard shell liquid filled capsule. So it's filled at room temperature. So there's no heat added to it. But what I think is even more important is that before we put the cap on the body, before we close that capsule, we flush it out with nitrogen. So we're pushing all of the oxygen outside of that capsule shell so that there's no oxygen inside to start the degradation process. And we actually worked with the manufacturer of the capsules to design this particular capsule shell material, which has the highest barrier properties to oxygen and moisture, meaning that the structure of this polymer, the structure of the capsule shell is so tight that it doesn't let oxygen molecules through it, which is amazing. So we are protecting our oils from degradation at every phase of the process.
So that's not an air bubble in there, it's a nitrogen bubble.
It is a nitrogen bubble. And just in case anybody is wondering, a lot of people ask, I thought nitrogen kills you. Can you eat the nitrogen? The air is made up of mostly nitrogen, so nitrogen in that level is totally fine.
So I know the thing that really separates us is our research. And a lot of people will say you have to have it directly from the fish because, getting more omega, but we actually have research that shows that we have a higher omega index for people that take Juice Plus. Will you share a little more about the research that we know happens for people that eat our Juice Plus omega?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we always do is look at the clinical research. So we have speculation when we first start developing a product, but then we test it out. So we speculated that this blended omega would work similar to how we've seen our fruit, vegetable, and berry capsules work, meaning that the sum of the parts is greater than each individual part, even if it was at a higher level. So we actually did look at the omega-3 index in a clinical setting. So we actually looked at two omega capsules. We looked at 4 omega capsules, and then we looked at 2 omega capsules plus 2 fruit capsules plus 2 veg capsules plus 2 berry capsules, just to see if there were differences in the omega-3 index of people who were taking the product. And what we found is that in all cases, all 3 of those cases, compared to a placebo, there was an increase, a statistically significant increase in the omega-3 index of the people taking the product in half the time than what we would normally expect to see based on studies done with fish oil at a higher DHA and EPA content. So we essentially have less of the important omega-3s, and it took half the time to get your body to utilize them better. And what I think is so interesting about this study is that when you took the Juice Plus Omega blend combined with fruit, vegetable, and berry blend, you actually saw an even higher increase in a shorter amount of time. And what that tells me is that the nutrients within those products, the fruit and vegetable products, are actually helping your body to utilize the omega-3s in the omega blend. So it's this combination, this beautiful symphony of nutrients really working together to help your body just do what it needs to do on its own.
So what kind of people should take an omega or a Juice Plus omega specifically?
So I think everybody can use the Juice Plus Omega blend. Tracy said she takes 4, she and her husband take 4. I actually take 6 omega blend product every single day. And that's because, as I mentioned, I have an intolerance to fish. So I cannot eat any fish, which means that I don't get omega-3s any other place in my diet than taking these capsules. And so for me, it's important to make sure that I have that stable amount, that high enough amount of omega-3s in my body to do the things I need it to do. Because I also have seen when I go on the road, for example, or if I'm under a high stress situation, and sometimes you forget to take things for a couple days, and I've gotten those red bumps around my nose before, start taking the omega blend, get back on my probiotics, and goes away immediately. I don't have to take any additional medications or do anything like that. It's just, it really helps me. And I actually have a funny story. So I was coming in my front door earlier tonight, and I'd gone out to get the mail. I was talking to my parents on the phone, and I have one cat that wants to escape all the time. And so I was coming in and I was trying to block the cat from coming out, and he started to try and run out. So I slammed him back and somehow ended up slamming my knee into my door frame. And so what did I do immediately? I went and got 4 omega blend in addition to the 6 I normally take today, because I know that that's about to get really inflamed and I really want to keep that inflammation down. So I took some additional omega blend and I put a little ice on it, and it's perfectly fine now. I'm not going to say it's the omega blend, but it definitely helps with any kind of inflammation, in my opinion. And we all have inflammation, even if it's just from doing exercise. Oxidative stress, exercise-induced inflammation is something that is really common. So even if you think you're doing everything perfectly, just exercising, being out in the environment can add to increases in inflammation. So I really feel like everybody can use this product.
All right, I have a question that you didn't know I was going to ask you, but it just
Okay.
popped into my head. A lot of people like, how come there's omega-6? Like you always hear the bad thing is omega-6. Everybody gets too much omega-6 because they eat too much, red meat or whatever. Why is the omega-6?
So the omega-6 just kind of, like I said earlier, comes along for the ride. So in order to remove the omega-6s from these natural ingredients, we would have to actually process them very tightly. So we would have to use solvents. We would have to use high heat to remove the omega-6. We don't want to do that. But the great thing about nature is that it gives you the amounts and the ratios that you need. So relatively, it is a very small amount of omega-6 compared to what you would get even from just eating a very healthy diet. We actually need omega-6 fatty
Yeah,
acids.
it's not the bad guy.
Right, it's
Too
not.
much
It's
of
in a
omega-6 is the bad guy.
Exactly. So exactly. So we actually need omega-6 every day. We actually need about 5 to 7 grams of omega-6 fatty acids every single day in order for our brains to work. This product has less than 300 milligrams of omega-6 fatty acids. It is not contributing to any kind of overeating of omega-6 fatty acids. That comes from eating McDonald's and fried foods and even salad dressings and mayonnaise and all the things that taste really yummy, but you probably shouldn't be eating as much of.
Right, exactly. Well, thank you. I hope that you guys are motivated to add the omega if you haven't, maybe double up if you are. I think I'll double up. Although I have to tell you that the omega kind of cured my dry skin problem here in Colorado. It gets so dry. And if I take too much omega, I always joke that my makeup falls into my lap by noon. But so it definitely works for that, for skin, for sure. So I know we have a new product coming.
Yeah.
Tease us a little bit with what is going to be introduced to our very small lineup of products that we have that keep people going.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is an exciting one. This is the first time that the Juice Plus company is kind of stepping into what we call specialized nutrition. So these are things where generally all of our products are for what we call foundational health. So it's really just stuff that you want to take every single day that's going to continue to add more good the longer you take it. So taking Juice Plus is great for one day. Taking Juice Plus for 10 years is even better. This product is focused on more immediate functional benefits. So it's actually focused on mental energy, mental clarity, and mental focus. So if you ever have too much going on in your day, if your to-do list is getting 2 pages long, like mine is, if you are trying to be in 6 different countries at the same time and talking to 55 different people about 7 different subjects every single day, then, and maybe you have some kind of natural inability to focus. Some of us have that. I'm not going to say that it's disease oriented, but some of us have that natural ability to squirrel. Like I say, you see a shiny object and you just want to go chase it. So that is really what this product's about. So it's about natural plant-based brain functionality. So it helps clear that brain fog. It helps you to focus. And it's got a little bit of caffeine in there from something called coffee berry extract. And this is the whole coffee fruit. It's not just the bean, it's not just the seed, but it's got that fruit on the outside as well. So it's got the antioxidants in there, as well as a little bit of caffeine to help with a little bit of energy during the day, which is also a really important thing to keep your brain going, to keep that mental capacity up there. But the thing I love about it is it's got these things called nootropics and adaptogens. And nootropics are what people call smart herbs. These are the things like Alpinia galanga. People include things like sage in there sometimes, or rhodiola. But these are ingredients that focus your brain naturally. So it works within your brain's kind of systems to really help you focus and get that clarity. And adaptogens are really more mood oriented ingredients. So these are things like ashwagandha or lion's mane mushrooms and cordyceps mushrooms. Those are things that kind of really help you to just kind of stay in that even keel, kind of in that happy place. So it helps with just mood stabilization a little bit. And, you know, these adaptogens will actually help, and we think, and we've shown in a survey also, they kind of help your body to mitigate some of the negative effects from things like caffeine. So it helps you to focus, but it doesn't make you jittery, which I think is really important for a lot of people. So it's an amazing product. We're really super excited about it.
When can we get it?
Exactly. So it will be on sale for partners very, very soon, and for all customers within the next couple of months, certainly before the summer. So we're really excited about that. So keep your eyes out for that one. We're not telling people what it's called yet, but just stay tuned.
I've heard people like it, the ones that have been testing it. So I'm excited.
Well,
Well,
yeah, it's actually it's kind of a refreshing flavor, and you can actually drink it hot or cold. So if people really like hot tea or something, yeah, it's really good.
oh, good. Well, thank you so much for taking time for us tonight. And thank you all for joining us. I hope you learned something, and please get with the person who invited you, and they can help you place your order and get all of the good stuff that your body needs in synergy, in orchestra. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
All right.
Hi, thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely
Great
amazing.
information.
Woo.